I want to start with something I've been asked a lot since I started talking about this series. Folks want to know, what were the signs? What should someone have seen? What could have been done differently? Those are the right questions, and I want to answer them honestly, which means I also have to tell you about the cases where the honest answer is nothing. There was nothing to point to. That answer is hard to sit with, and I know that from the inside. Hi, I'm Melba Pearson, also known as the Resident Legal Diva, and this is Mondays with Melba, the Femicide edition. Make sure to comment and subscribe to get more of this kind of vital information. We talk a lot about the warning signs of domestic violence, and we tend to picture physical violence, right? So like bruises, police calls to 911, protective orders, restraining orders, injunctions, depending on where you are. But the research on femicide, specifically on the cases that end in murder, a killing, shows that a significant percentage involve no documented prior physical violence. But what they do often involve is coercive control. And coercive control doesn't look like what most people imagine. So, what is coercive control? Coercive control is this pattern of behavior where it's designed to show and establish dominance, and it limits the autonomy of a partner. So think monitoring, your phone communications, demanding passwords, making a person feel watched, discovering friendships through subtle means rather than explicit prohibition. So not like you can't go out and see your friends, but more so, I get really lonely when you go out and see your friends, or shouldn't you be staying home more often? That sort of thing. Managing the finances in a way that creates dependency. So that way you don't have that financial independence to be able to leave. And here's a big one. Eroding someone's sense of self over time so they stop trusting their own judgment. Like the classic gaslight, basically. And all of this, it's designed to be invisible to outsiders. And it is designed to make the person experience it, doubt whether or not this is really happening to them. And it makes it hard for them to even give it a name. So it's like this whole mind game that's incredibly dangerous and can be fatal. So I want to walk you through a case that's basically built from documented patterns in femicide research. The women whose experiences informed this asked, through those that love them, not to be named. So we're going to call her Diane. Diane was in her early 30s. She was a professional. She was active in her community. Her partner, we're going to call him Marcus, was by every external account a good man. He was attentive. He was present. They had been together for about 5 years. There were no police calls. There were no protective orders. After Diane was killed, the people in her life described the relationship as stable. Some said they even envied it. They couldn't possibly reconcile what they saw publicly with what they later learned had been happening privately. And what was happening in the background? A slow erosion, kind of like water washing away sand type of thing. It wasn't explosive violence. It was psychological control. Isolation accomplished through subtle means. Her calendar got managed. Her finances got controlled. Her sense of self gradually narrowed until she stopped trusting her own instincts, including that instinct that the man she loved could also kill her. The first time Diane told anyone something was wrong, she just described it as stress. It's just stress. She didn't have the language for what was actually happening to her. She didn't have a 911 call. She had a feeling she had been taught to minimize. So when Marcus killed her, people kept asking, what were the signs? And her family had to say, there was nothing we could point to. But I'm going to say something that I'm going to let this breathe for a second. The absence of visible sign is not the same as the absence of danger. I'm going to say it again. The absence of visible signs is not the same as the absence of danger. Here's where it gets a little personal for me. I keep asking myself that question about somebody I lost. What did I miss? Was there something I should have seen? And I think the honest answer might be nothing. There was nothing I could have pointed to. And that is the part of this I haven't fully figured out myself how to carry yet. I'm sharing this not because this episode is about my grief. It isn't. I'm telling you because I need you to understand that the question, why didn't anyone see it, can be an impossible question. The guilt it generates in the people who love someone, that guilt is not always warranted. Sometimes that system hid it from them as effectively as it hid it from the victim herself. So here is what the research does tell us about elevated femicide risk, because there are indicators, even when there's no documented history of physical violence. Separation, that period when a victim tries to leave, is statistically the most dangerous period. Lethality risk increases significantly at the point of separation or perceived loss. Let me just give you one quick example before I move on to the rest. We all remember that video of Cassie getting beaten by P. Diddy. Not just beaten, kicked, stomped, the whole thing. The part that people gloss over when they talk about that video, sometimes in the rush to take sides, when people say, well, why didn't Cassie leave? She was just there for the money. Well, that video was the aftermath of her trying to leave. She got her stuff and walked out of the hotel room and was like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. And what happened? Diddy came out in a towel and beat the living hell out of her. So what message does that tell her? Comply or face violence if you try to leave. It's an impossible choice. So keep an eye on separation. That's a big one. Any history of strangulation, even minimized, even once, is one of the strongest lethality predictors researchers have identified. Access to weapons. The combination of a controlling partner and access to firearms dramatically increases femicide risk. Isolation. If a partner has been systematically isolated from her support network, there are fewer intervention points when danger escalates. Basically, she got nowhere to go. She has no one to turn to. Her partner has effectively placed her on an island by herself. And so when things pop off, she's got no ear to turn to. And lastly, possession language. She belongs to me. I'll never let her go. If I can't have her, nobody will. When that language surfaces to friends, family, on social media, don't sleep on that. It should be taken seriously. Don't explain it away. Oh, they were under stress. Oh, they were just being dramatic. Oh, they were just playing. No. When you hear those words, alarm bells should be going off, because that is the indication that things can get ugly and fatal really fast. So in substance, stop looking for the story that makes this make sense, because legit, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the most careful, attentive, loving people in a woman's life could not have predicted what happened to her. What we can do, though, is build systems that are better at interrupting the patterns we do know how to see. And that's next week, the Systemic Accountability episode. Where does the failure actually live, and who is responsible for fixing it? Comment and subscribe, and I'll see you Monday. I'm Melba Pearson, also known as the Resident Legal Diva. Stay safe, stay informed, and keep demanding justice. Take care.